Okay, let's look at this question. A florist conducts his business for 8 hours every day in the following manner. For the first 2 hours, he raises his price by X%. Next 2 hours, he reduces his existing price by X%. Then for the next 2 hours, he raises the existing price by X minus 5%, and then he reduces the same by X minus 5% afterwards for the last 2 hours. Okay. One day, the price of the bouquet decreased by rupees 75 during the third hour. The original price was 1200. Then how much did he sell it for at the end of the day? Now this is a question of percentages, successive discounts or successive increments, whatever you want to call it, and that concept can be applied. But let's look at understanding the question first, and then we'll see how quickly we can solve this question using the choices. Okay. Originally the price was 1200 rupees, right? What happened in the first 2 hours? He increased it by X%. Next 2 hours, reduced by X%. Now if you have done your topic of percentage, what this means is this will lead to a total reduction of minus X square by 100%, right? And then next 2 hours, he increases it by, so this is one stage. He increases it by X minus 5%, and then he reduces for the next 2 hours by X minus 5%, right? And this will also be for X minus 5 whole square by 100%. This will again be a net reduction. Okay. So first thing is, both the cases there will be a reduction. Okay. Now please look at it this way. What is the first reduction happening? First reduction is 75 rupees. This reduction is equivalent to 75 rupees. So while you started the day at 1200 rupees, when you reach this stage, the price was 1125. 1200 minus 75. Right? Now this will lead to a further reduction, isn't it? So what will the reduction be? Will it be more than 75 or less than 75? Obviously more than 75. Why? Because earlier it was a X% up and down. Now it is X minus 5% up and down. And the formula also tells you the reduction will be there, but it will be smaller because the percentage up and down has reduced. Okay. So can I not say that my reduction in the second case will be reduction in the second case in this situation will be less than 75 rupees? Two reasons. One, percentage has come down. Also, earlier you were working on 1200 rupees. Now it is 1125 rupees. It is a percentage of 1125 rupees. So can I not say my answer should be greater than 1125 minus 75, which is equal to 1050. So my answer needs to be greater than 1050 and obviously less than 1125. Answer should be less than 1125 and it should be greater than 1050. Greater than 1125, 1125, possible, incorrect, correct answer. So many students leave these kind of questions because it looks like high on calculation. No, it is not high on calculation if you are willing to look at the choices. Now let me come to the question and do the question by, while the Jugaad method is there, let us apply the basic concept again using this concept itself. Okay. And let's see how to do this question using the concept. And there my focus would be how do you reduce your calculation effort. Okay. Now what is the reduction? Reduction is 75 rupees on 1200 rupees. So what is 75 by 1200? Okay. It is, 25 into 3. 25 into 4 is 100 and 48. Right? Reduction is 1 by 16. Okay. So can I say X square by 100% should be equal to 1 by 16 or 25 or 6.25%. Right? 1 by 16 is, okay. So what will be X? Okay. X will be 25%. Two successive increments and discounts of 25% will be equal to a single discount of minus 25. It is a discount of 25 square upon 100%, right? So if you remember your basic table, squares, etc., there is nothing but a discount of 6.25%. So it should have been very obvious. Okay. Or the other way to look at this is the price has become, since it's a 1200 rupee initial item, it declines by 75 rupees, it becomes 1125. This is because there is a up and down cycle of 25%. What will be the second up and down cycle? It will be of 20%. If there's 20%, what does it mean? Again, as a single discount of minus sign indicates a discount. 20 square upon 100, so many percent. So it is equal to, this will mean a discount of 20 square is 400 upon 100 minus 4%. So my value should go down by 4%. What is 10%? 11.25, 112. 1% is 11.25. So 4% should be 11.25 into 4. 11.25 into 4, which is equal to 45 rupees. So my answer should be 1125 minus 45 equal to 1080. Okay. So mathematically also it could have been done, but you should be comfortable with these reciprocals. You should be able to work with your squares. But to me, the right approach for the question was, look at the choices. Your starting point, just to repeat, this question should have been done by the basic concept that it should have started saying initially it is 1200 rupees. The first up and down cycle led to the price becoming 1125. Okay, this means a decline of 75. The second up and down cycle will lead to a reduction of less than 75 rupees. So my answer should be greater than 1050. Answer has to be within these two numbers. Only one choice remains. Okay. In the class, 30% of the students were absent for the exam. 20% failed by 5 marks and 10% just passed. Find the average score of the class if the remaining students scored an average of 60 marks and the pass marks are 40 marks. Now this question can be done by multiple ways. You can apply weighted average, you can apply deviation method actually. Okay. And if you remember deviation method, you'll realize deviation method is reasonably fast. Okay. Now, there's an ambiguity in the question. Find the average score of the class if the remaining students scored an average of 60 marks. When we say find the average score of the class, does it include only those who took the paper? Okay. Who took the test or the exam? Or does it include all students? Okay. That's one ambiguity which is there in the question. So if it is saying average score of the class, if I have to say take all students, what will I do? The students who did not attempt the paper, I'll give them 0 marks. Okay. So in a class, 30% of the students were absent. These 30% should be given 0 marks if you are looking at all students. Okay, the rest is fine. Okay, but if we say I need to look at only these, then obviously I don't need to worry about these. Now, had the question said, find the average score of the students who took the test. Okay. Then I would have not worried about these 30% students at all. But here there is a slight ambiguity, and hence I need to take a call. My call will be, I will look at average score of the class. Class comprises those 30% students who did not take the test, so I'll give them 0 marks. Okay. So what will CAT take it for? We don't know. Okay. But end of the day, when you come across a question which is slightly ambiguous like this, and it has happened in CAT, don't fret too much over it. Take a call, move on. Okay. Either you attempt the question or you don't attempt the question. If you're attempting, decide how you want to do it. Okay. So I will assume these 30% of the students who are absent from the class, they get 0 marks. Okay. And let me do the question by deviation method, because I'm sure everyone will be able to do the method by weighted average, and to me deviation is a faster way of doing the question. Okay. So let me look at the deviation method to find the average marks of the class. Okay. What average marks I'll take? 40. I'll say let the average of the class be 40. Okay. So if the average marks are 40, these 30% of the students, let me assume there are 10 students only in the class. Okay. So I'm assuming only 10 students in the class. So out of 10 students, 3 students were absent. Hence they got a 0. Okay. Or their deviation is minus 40 per student into 3, 120. Their deviation is minus 120. Their score minus the average score. Okay. 20% failed by 5 marks. 20% of 10 is 2. Okay, they failed by 5 marks, so they have got 35 marks, or their deviation, if they failed by 5 marks, is minus 5 into 2, which is minus 10. Right? 10% just passed. 10% is 1% just passed, so obviously has got 40. The deviation will be 0. Okay. And the remaining students, how many? 3 to 5, 1, 6 gone. 4 students, average of 40 marks. They are 20 marks. They have an average of 60 marks. Sorry. So their deviation is plus 20 into 4, which is plus 80. So what is the net deviation? 120. So 130 negative. So it is minus 50. Okay. So what is the average deviation? Average deviation will be minus 50 upon the total number of students, minus 5. So what is the average of the class? This will be assume mean, which is what, 40. We assume the average to be 40, so assume mean plus the average deviation. This will be assume mean is 40, average deviation is minus 5, so equal to 35. So my answer to this question will be 35. To me, the more important thing is, please try and use the deviation method. This is much more simpler and easier. The calculations are easier, and hence you can get the answer faster without wasting too much time. Okay, Mukesh had 90 lakh with him, out of which he purchased yacht, a jeep and a house for 20, 15, 40 lakh respectively. Deposited Zest in mutual fund at 20% per annum compounded annually. Find the value of the item. The value of the item that he bought depreciates at 10%. After 2 years, he sells the 3 items and redeems his mutual fund. What is the total change? We need the total change, so straight away go for the average, or what is the percentage change. So what has he done? Out of 90 lakhs, 60, 75. On 75 lakh rupees, he has a depreciation of 10% per year. So it is compounded annually, so it is nothing but 2 successive discounts of 10%. 2 successive discounts of 10% will mean a single discount of 19%. A plus B plus AB by 100. Okay. So this is the negative deviation. And what happens to his the remaining? Out of 90, the remaining is 15 lakhs. This 15 lakhs, he gives him a return of 20% per annum compounded annually. So that means 2 successive increments of 20%, which is 44%. So what is 44% of 15 lakhs? 40% of 15 is 6 lakhs. So 4% of 15 will be 0.6 lakhs. So this is plus 6.6 lakhs. And what is 20% of 70 or 19% of 75? 19% of 75 will be 20% is equal to 15. And 1% is 0.75. So this is 14.25 lakhs. So it is minus 14.25 lakhs. Okay. What is the net going to be? 14 minus 6 is 8. So slightly less than 8 lakhs, because it is minus 14 and plus 6.6. So it has to be slightly less than 8 lakhs. It is a net loss of 8 lakhs. Okay. Or the change in the asset is about slightly less than 8 lakhs. Correct answer. The choices are not close, so I don't need to get into the exact calculation. Standard question. I'm taking it up again for the simple reason people again work with different difficult numbers. I just want to highlight the fact you should work with simple numbers to make your calculation simple. The rate at which tap X fills the tank is 70% more than tap Y. Tap Y fills the tap 10 liters per hour. Tap X will fill it at 17 liters per hour. Work with simple numbers. This 10 is a simple number. This 17 I can't help it because the number given in the question is such. If both taps are open simultaneously, they take 15 hours to fill up a swimming pool. Okay. So what is the total volume required? If they are open simultaneously, it will be 17 plus 10, 27. So 27 into 15. What is the time taken by Y to fill the pool when there is a leak at 10% the rate of the tap Y? So if it is tap Y has a leak of 10%, that means instead of 10 liters per hour, it will become 9 liters per hour. So divide by 9. 45. Very simple question. This is one thing. Now have you looked at the choices? Ultimately, what is the question asking us? Let me just erase the stuff so that I can highlight the relevant portion. Time taken by to fill the pool when there's a leak of 10%. What are the answer choices going to be? Answer choice definitely, or let me not say use the word definitely, most probably will contain the time taken by Y to fill the pool. Okay. Y to fill the pool. Okay. Okay. And also 90% of that time. If the Y is T, it will also give 90% of T. So that if you don't read the question carefully, you will end up marking the answer for T. If Y fills the tank in T hours, there will obviously be an answer choice which says 90% of T. Obviously, this is the correct answer, but the question will typically give you this kind of a choice also. Please look at the choices again. Do you see a pair of 100% and 90%? These two. Most probably this will be the answer. You may want to verify, that's a separate issue. But if you're conscious of the choices, if you're conscious of the way questions are created, choices are created, you will invariably be able to pick out the right answer a little faster. Okay. So correct answer, choice 3. Okay. The third term of a GP is 6 and the product of first 5 terms of a GP is a to power a77b, such that a and b are 5th and 6th terms of an AP. What is the 10th term of the AP? Okay. Now you can look at this question as a complicated question of mathematics, but let's go back to the basics. Something that all of you should remember and is, if we are looking at choosing 3 terms of an AP, if you have to, GP, in a geometric progression, if you have to choose 3 terms, how do you choose? Middle term is B. First, on either side you have B and BR. So what is the product going to be? B cube. If it is 5 terms of a GP, it will be B upon R, B into R, B upon R square, B into R square. What will the product be? B to power 5. Similarly, if it was 7 terms, the product would be B to power 7. If it was 11 terms, the product will be B to power 11. Where what is B? B is the middle term. Now, this is something you need to just remember. Okay. Now, so effectively what we are saying is, this is going to be, since it is a product of 5 terms, B to power 5 has to be A775. Do a hit and trial. Let's check out. What is 4 to power 5? Okay, 4 to power 5 is nothing but 2 to power 10, 1024. Does not fit into the schema which we are looking at, A775. So this is not possible. What is 5 to power 5? 5 to power 5 is 25, 5 square into 5 square into 5. What is 25 square? 625. 625 into 5, 3125. Does not fit in with the scheme. Okay, it is A77B. I have copied it incorrectly. Yeah. What about 6 to power 5? 6 to power 5 again is 36 into 36 into 6. And what is 36 square? If you remember your Vedic math, 36 square will be 35 square plus 35 plus 36. Okay. Obviously, this needs to be done into 6 to get this particular value. Okay. So what is 35 square? 1225 plus 61, 1296 into 6. So what will be 6 to power 5? Multiply. It is 1300 into 6 minus 4 into 6. 13 into 6 is going to be 78. So 7800 minus 24 is 7776. This fits in with the schema we are looking at. That means T5 and T6 are A and B. So T5, T6, A, B. This is equal to 7. This is equal to 6. So T7, T8, T9, T10. We need the 10th term of the AP. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So the answer will be 2. Okay. The key thing to remember was this: if we are looking at the odd term, product of odd terms, it is going to be B to power the odd number of terms. Since we are looking at 5 terms, it had to be B to power 5 is equal to this. Now do hit and trial and get to the answer. Remember, your basic Vedic maths calculation will be useful. A 4-date number was not difficult to work with. If it was a 5-date number, I would probably have taken a help of a calculator. A goods train was delayed by 14 minutes because of heavy rain, and it made up for the delay on a section of 28 km traveling at a speed 10 km higher than its normal speed. Find the normal speed of the train. Okay. So what should the answer choices contain? Choices should contain the normal speed. Okay. and it will most probably also contain normal speed plus 10, isn't it? Because 10 kilometer higher, it might occasionally also contain normal speed minus 10. Now with this logic in place, what choices make sense to you? Obviously these two. Most probably the normal speed will be 30 and the increased speed is going to be 40. Verify. Rather than creating equation, just verify, you will be able to come to the answer fairly fast. Okay. Now, if the normal speed is 30 kilometers per hour and the increased speed is how much? 40 kilometers per hour. Okay. Okay. Over a section of 28 kilometers, how much time will it take? Now, this is where people again get confused and get into calculation. Let me reverse the process. If it is 30 kilometers per hour, can I not say it is 2 minutes per kilometer? 30 kilometers in 1 hour, that means for 30 kilometers taking 60 minutes or 2 minutes per kilometer. And this will be 1.5 minutes per kilometer. Right? So, this is the normal speed. This is the increased speed. Okay. So, a 28 kilometer distance, how much time will it take at the normal speed? It will take 56 minutes. 28 kilometers, for 28 kilometers, it will take 56 minutes. And at 40 kilometers per hour, 28 kilometers, it will take 28 into 1.5, which is 42 minutes. Is the saving 14 minutes? Yes, the saving is 14 minutes. As per the question, the saving had to be 14 minutes. That means the normal speed of 30 kilometers per hour is perfectly fine. So I started by looking at the choices. The two choices which made eminent sense for choice 1 and 3, I verified. And in any case, I am always going to check the easier choices first, because easier choices will be in lesser calculation. In the diagram, PQRS is a square and SR is a tangent to the point S of the circle with center O. Also, OR is equal to 2OS. Find the ratio of the area of the circle with center O to the area of the circle with center U. So, first number pertains to area of the circle with center O, second circle pertains to the area of the circle with center U, the one which is inside the square. Now, first question, figure is given. Is the figure to scale or not? Please check. You have a rough sheet with you. The question is telling you twice of OR is equal to OS. Please measure. Take your rough sheet, measure OS. Okay. And using your rough sheet, measure this also. So, on your rough sheet, put this as a mark and keep your rough sheet like this and see if this plus this is equal to this. You'll find the figure is correct. So, using your rough sheet, you can verify that the figure is to scale. Okay. If the figure is to scale, you should also be able to say, okay, which is a bigger circle out of the two. Again, using your rough sheet, measure this versus the side of the square. You will find this is slightly bigger. Okay. The circle with the center O is slightly bigger than circle with center U. So what should be the case? The first number should be bigger than the second number. So if I look at circle with center O has a bigger radius than the circle with center U. That means first number should be bigger than the second number. But is it significantly bigger or is it marginally bigger? They look almost the same. So the gap is negligible, which means first number has to be bigger than the second number. Choice 2 is wrong, choice 4 is wrong because this is 1.7:2 and this is 1:1.7. So choice 2 and 4 are wrong because the first number should be bigger than the second number. And second, both the circles are almost the same size, so this is 1:3 is not likely to happen. This should be the answer. A visual inspection of the figure gave you the answer. Supposing it did not strike you, there is an alternate method which we discussed in raised to 99 in the smart quant cracker or the Jugaad techniques. Remember 30, 60, 90 right triangle? What is special about 30, 60, 90 right triangle if this is 30 degrees? Okay. This is 90. Okay. Let me just draw the figure correctly. Okay. Okay. 30, 60, 90. What is special? Side opposite 30 if it is x. This will be x root 3. Opposite 60 and this will be 2x. What is the situation here? This is a right angle triangle. OS is half of OR. Or OR is double of OS. There is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Okay. So if this is x, this is equal to 2x, this has to be a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. So by looking at this figure, you should be able to say this is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. If OR is equal to 1, this will be equal to 2. And what will be SR? SR will be 1 root 3. This will be root 3. 30, 60, 90, 30, 60, 90. The ratio of sides is 1 is to root 3 is to 2. 1 is to 2 is there, so this should be root 2, this should be root 3. So okay, to make my life easier, I will take it to be 2, 4 and 2 root 3. Why have I taken 2? Now the radius of this circle will become 1 root 3. So radius of this circle is root 3. So what is the ratio of the area? The ratio of area of the first circle is pi into 2 square is to, so the area of the first circle is pi is to 2 square, and the second one will be pi into root 3 square, which is going to be 4 is to 3. Obviously, the other thing you could have said, area is proportional to square of the side. So since the radii are in the ratio of, just let me erase this one. Since the radius are in the ratio of 2 is to root 3, the area should be in the ratio of 4 is to 3. Okay. Sides are in radius in the ratio of 2 is to root 3. Area should be in the ratio of 2 square is to root 3 square. Okay. So 30, 60, 90 right triangle, at least you should have used in this question. Ramu made a large cube of edge length n centimeter by gluing together smaller cubes of edge length 1 centimeter. He painted 4 of these faces blue. The large cube fell down and the original cubes came apart. The number of cubes with unpainted faces was 96. What is n? Now, while you can do the mathematics, you can say so many faces painted and find the answer. I want you to remind you of one basic concept which I'm sure most of you are aware of. If it is a n by n cubes, okay, how many cubes will not be on the surface? And all sides are painted. Let me say all 6 faces are painted of this cube and then broken into smaller cubes. Okay. So how many cubes will not be on the surface? All of them will be unpainted. What is that number? N minus 2 whole cube. So so if it is a 10 by 10 by 10 cube which has got 1000 small cubes, out of these 8 into 8 into 8, which is 512, so many small cubes will be not on the surface and hence all of them will be unpainted. Right? So can I say the total number in this given case? Can I say the total number of unpainted faces? Total number of unpainted faces should be greater than n minus 2 whole cube. Isn't it? Okay. So now let me go to the question. Okay. And let me eliminate choices. I know total unpainted faces is 96. Okay. What will be the unpainted faces in this case? Inside ones. I am looking at in the n minus 2 whole cube. What is n minus 2 whole cube for each of them? This is 6 cube is equal to 216. But I have only 96. This itself is giving me inside the cube 216 unpainted faces, and there are few unpainted faces on the face also, no? Because he's painted only 4 faces. So 2 faces were unpainted, they will also be the case. So 7 means 5 cube. 125 is greater than 96. This is greater than 96, so both of these are wrong. 6 means 4 cube, 64, possible. 5 cube means 3 cube, 27, not possible. Why? Look at it this way. If you have 5 into 5 into 5, 3 cube are inside. How many more will you be able to add from the surface? Not too many. You'll probably get stuck somewhere around 35, 40. So my answer can only be 6 in this particular case. Such a question I will always do the simplest thing first. Okay, which is n minus 2 whole cube is the number of faces, number of cubes which are inside, and all of them will be unpainted. In addition to this, in this particular question, there will be some unpainted face cubes on the face also. Okay. And hence my answer cannot be 7 and 8 because these two itself are giving me more than 96 unpainted cubes inside, and the fifth and choice one is too small to be considered. Number of houses in a locality is half the number of children, and the number of shops is 1/10 the number of houses. The number of adults is 5/3 the number of children. Find the minimum possible number of girls in the locality is 55% of the children are girls. Now let us just keep it simple. Adults is equal to 5/3 of children, right? So can I not say the number of children should be a multiple of 3? Any choice that is not a multiple, because the number of girls, and girls is 55% of children. Okay. So the number of children first of all has to be a multiple of 3, because if number of children is not a multiple of 3, the adults will not be an integer. So number of children has to be a multiple of 3, and if number of children is multiple of 3, 55% of that will also be a multiple of 3. So my first thing is the number of girls has to be a multiple of 3. Second thing, 55% of any number, 55 is, okay, so my answer should be a multiple of 11 also. Only one multiple of 11 and 3, that should be the answer. You want to verify, do that. What you can do then is verify. If the number of girls is 33, and this is equal to 55% of children, that means the number of children should be equal to 60. Okay. If number of children is 60, you can find number of adults and other things you can also verify. Okay. Now such questions are typically done with the help of choices. Supposing it did not strike you that the answer should be a multiple of 3, start from the smallest choice, because the question is asking minimum possible number of girls. Minimum possible number of girls, if girls is 6, that means the number of children should be equal to 6 upon 0.55, which is incorrect because the number of girls cannot be, a number of children cannot be a decimal. If it is 11, so how many children will be there? 11 upon 0.55, which is equal to 20. So 20 children, okay, and number of adults 20 into 5/3, incorrect because this is giving me a number which is a decimal number, not an integer. Okay, 33. If the number of girls is 33, children will be equal to 55. Okay, sorry, not 55. It will be 33 upon 0.55, which will be 3/5 or 60. Okay, so if children is 60, adults will be 5/3 into 60, 100. Okay, and then you can check out number of houses is half the number of children. So number of houses is perfectly fine, it is an integer, and number of shop is 1/10 number of houses, even that will be an integer. Okay, now you do this with the help of choices. If it does not strike you, then you start working the choices, but the starting point for me was the number of girls should be a multiple of 3 and 11, only one choice, and that should be the answer. In a practice match, A scored 2 XY 2 and 3 goals and B scored so many goals. Average goals of A is 1 more than average goals by B. What is the maximum possible average of X and P? Average goals scored per match by A and B is at most 5. Now there are many questions where you will find me not using the complete information yet getting the answer. This is one of those questions. In this particular question, this is an item which I have not used at all. I can get the answer without it. And so rather than making multiple equations, I try to do the question with the help of the simplest data which is available to me. Okay. So how many goals has A scored? 2 plus X plus Y plus 2 plus 3. So 3 to 5, 6, 7. A has scored 7 plus X plus Y. And how many has B scored? 3 plus P plus Q. Now the question says the average goal scored per match by A and B together is at most 5. Okay. So the average for them together is 5. So the total should be 25 because we are talking about 5 matches. Okay, 5 matches. So the total is going to be 25. So what is A plus B going to be total number of goals scored between the two of them? 10 plus X plus Y plus P plus Q. This should be equal to 25. What that means is X plus Y plus P plus Q is equal to 15. What do we need to find? Maximum possible average of X and P. I need the maximum possible average of x and p. If I want to maximize x and p, that means y I will take as 0, q I will take as 0. That means x plus p should be equal to 15, or the average will be 7.5. Two trains P and Q pass simultaneously through a station on two parallel tracks without stopping at the station. Platform P2 through which train Q passes is 50% longer than P1 through which train P passes. Train P, whose length is 2/3 of what Q is, traveling at speed of 72 kilometers per hour. Train Q is okay. Too much data, let's write it down. Okay. So two trains P and Q, one train P and Q. Okay. Platform length of platform P2 through which Q passes is 50% longer than platform P1. So P1 is 10 meters, this is 10 and 15. Okay. 50% longer than P1 through which P passes. Train P, length of the train. Okay. Train P, whose length is 2/3 of what Q is traveling. So let me assume this to be 15 and 10 again. Length of train P is 2/3 of Q. So I'm taking Q to be 15 and this to be 10 again. Okay. Train P is traveling at the speed of 72 kilometers per hour. So speed is given as 72 kilometers per hour. And train Q is 25% slower. It is 3/4 of 72. Okay. What is the ratio of the time taken by the trains P and Q passing through platform P1 and P2? So what we need to find ratio of time. What is ratio of time? It is inverse proportion. Okay, so time should be speed is equal to distance upon time. So time is nothing but distance upon speed. So what is the distance ratio of distance upon speed for both of these? Distance is going to be 10 plus 10, 20. Upon, instead of 72, I am taking it 1. Why am I taking it 1? Because I'll take this as 3/4. Because ultimately, if I'm taking ratio, does the actual number matter? It is only the ratio it matters. It is 25%, so this is 1:3/4. Actually, you could make your task even simpler. You could say, instead of 70, okay, let me just take the is first. Instead of 72 and 3/4 of 72, what stops you from saying, I will take this as 20 and 15? Same. The ratio is what we are interested in. So, length is 10 plus 10, 20 upon speed 20 is to 15 plus 15 is 30 upon 15. 30 upon 15. So, what is this ratio going to be? 1:2. Choice 3. So, please remember, when the ratio has to be found, take numbers which are convenient. You don't have to get stuck with 72 kilometers per hour and then you try calculating 3/4 of 72. Now, I know it is not difficult, but why should I even do it when I know that it is going to be irrelevant? Okay. So when you're working with ratios, numbers become irrelevant, and if the same ratio on both sides, you can take numbers as you want. As instead of 72, I've taken this to be 20, and instead of 3/4 of 72, I've taken this to be 3/4 of 20, because on both sides this will occur. Had I taken 72, what would have been the case? 20 upon 72 is to 30 upon 3/4 of 72. It would have got cancelled in any case. Okay, let P and Q be natural numbers such that Q is the square of a natural number, and these three lie between 0.5 and 0.9. What does this mean? It means P upon 15 is between 0.5 and 0.9. Q upon P is again between 0.5 and 0.9, and P upon 13 is also between 0.5 and 0.9. This is what it means. Unfortunately, sometimes students assume this means 0.5 less than P by 15, less than Q by P, less than Q by 13, less than 0.9. This is incorrect. This is what it means, right? Now let's look at solving the question. And here I will again be using the choices. Okay. Now it says Q is a square of a natural number. Now please look at this. Okay, let me write it down. P by 15, Q upon P, and P upon 13. This has to be less than 0.9, and this has to be greater than 0.5. Now the only squares of natural number which are less than 13, because q by 13, I'm sorry. Okay, the only natural number, so since this has to be q upon 13, and q is a square of a natural number, what that means is q should be less than 13, because q by 13 is less than 0.9, but q by 13 is also greater than 0.5. So what natural number squares are available to us which are less than 13? 1, 4, 9. 1 is definitely ruled out. 1 by 13 will be less than 0.5. 4 by 13 is also less than 0.5. That means q is equal to 9. So 9 by 13. Okay. So what are we supposed to find? We have to find, so q is equal to 9. I hope there is no debate. So what we need to find is 3p minus 3q minus 2p. Now what is 3q going to be? 27. And 2p is going to be even. So when you subtract an even number from an odd number, what do you get? You get an odd number. So what cannot be equal to? It cannot be equal to 4, because 4 is an even number. I don't need to do the rest of the calculations. Another question which is essentially choices, I would say. Several integers are written on a blackboard, including the number 2021. Sum of these integers is 2021. What does that mean? For every positive number, there should be some negative numbers also. The product of these integers is also 4042. What does that mean? 4042 is nothing but 2021 into 2. So 2 definitely has to be there. But the sum has to be 0. Sum has to be 2021. So to compensate for this 2, I'll put 1 minus 1. Okay. Is this fine? The product of integers, what does it become? Product of these 2021 into 2 into minus 1 into minus 1. Product is 4042 and the sum is 2021. So both the conditions are satisfied. Now what does this mean? The numbers which I have should be even. I should have even number of integers on the board. Which of the following could be the number of the integers? It cannot be an odd number of integers. No? It has to be even. The way to look at it, for every 2 you need a 2 minus 1. So there could be 2 2s and 4 minus 1. It could be 3 2s and 6 minus 1. So every 2 has to have a corresponding equivalence in terms of minus 1s. So my answer can only be a even number. Among the choices, the only even number available is 2020. ABCD is a parallelogram. E is a point. I am sure you know what I am going to do. What is a parallelogram? It's a square. Okay. Let's hope there's no data in the question which contradicts. Okay. ABCD is a parallelogram. A is a point on AB such that AE to EB is 1:3. F is a point on CD such that CF to CD is 3:1. Triangle EFG, EFH. Okay, they are drawn. Let me just draw the figure, because for me drawing the figure in geometry is important. I don't understand the question completely otherwise. Okay, we need to find area of this particular figure as a percentage of the area of the parallelogram. Great. So let's look at this figure. I am drawing a square, which is my parallelogram. A square is also a parallelogram. Okay, this is a square I have. Okay, A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. I am assuming AB to be 4 centimeters. AE to EB is 1:3. So if this is 1, this is going to be 3. This is E. Okay. F is a point on CD such that CF is to FD. CF is to FD is 3:1. So this is 3. This is 1. This is F. Okay. Triangles EFG and EFH are drawn such that points GH are on AD and BC respectively. GH is on AD. Where will you put G? Midpoint. I am taking G to be the midpoint. Okay. And H again midpoint. What is the ratio of what is the area of EGFH? Okay, EGFH. Now, look at this figure. This plus this should be equal to this. This plus this should be equal to this. My answer has to be 50%. EGFH has to be 50% of the area of the square. Now, if you are not sure, you can do the calculation also, because we have taken convenient numbers. In a race, Amit beats Bunty by 60 meters, Bunty beats Chirag by 80 meters, Amit beats Chirag by 120 meters. Find the distance over the race has been conducted. If I assume the race distance to be x meters, typically most students will create an equation by saying if Amit does x meters, Bunty will do x minus 60 meters and Chirag will do x minus 120 meters, right? But Bunty beats Chirag by 80 meters. That means when Bunty does x meters, Chirag will do x minus 80 meters. This is the equations that the way we'll jot down the data. Then we'll say the ratio of distance in both these cases should be equal. We'll create a quadratic equation and verify. Okay, so this quadratic equation will be solved for x and then you'll get the answer. Okay, perfectly fine. But please, have you looked at the choices? If you look at the choices, which number is a multiple of 60, 80, 120, all of them? 240. Most probably that should be the answer. Verify. Your task should be to verify the number. So if I take x equal to 250, what do I get? 240, sorry. If x is equal to 240, what do I get in this particular place? 240 minus 60 is 180. 240 minus 120 is 120. On the right hand side, 240 upon 240, 160. They are equal. That means the answer should be 240. Okay. This is one way to do the question. Let me go to the alternate logical approach which sometimes students miss out and let's see how to work on that aspect. Because that again will be something which does not need any calculation. You can do the question orally if you apply the approach which I am going to discuss now. Now, when Bunty does x minus 60, Chirag does x minus 120, right? But when Bunty does x, that means how much additional Bunty has covered? Bunty has covered additional 60 meters. In the same time, Chirag has gone from minus 120 to minus 80. That means he's covered 40 meters. What does this mean? This means Bunty gains 20 meters in 60 meters. When Bunty runs 60 meters, he will gain 20 meters over Chirag. And what is the total gain for Chirag over the length of the race? But over Chirag, Bunty gains 80 meters. Right? 20 into 4. So that means he would have run for 60 into 4, 240 meters. So the length of the race has to be 240 meters. To me, if you are making the equation, please substitute the values from the equation from the choice into the equation. Otherwise, the right approach is to look at the gain rather than forming a quadratic equation and solving it and wasting time.